Hi everyone, welcome to the second screencast on arousal, and this one looks at the inverted U theory. So a very quick recap then on dry theory, if you remember from last lesson and the screencast. So this is a linear relationship between arousal and performance. You can see the line going up here. So high arousal means higher levels of performance. Basic concept of that, however, the dominant response for high level performers is that yes, they will actually perform a very good skill, so performance of them will increase. So experienced athletes will have a better performance based on high arousal. However, issues for beginners, their dominant response is to make mistakes because that's the most learned skill. So this theory does work for experienced athletes, but it does not work for beginners. And we said that the issue here is it doesn't take into consideration the over-arousal point, which brings us on to the inverted U theory. So this theory then, as you can see, so the graph does differ, and it's now this inverted U or upside down U shape across here, as opposed to the shape of the dry theory, which went something like this. So very different in terms of how this looks compared to dry theory. So basic concept here is that as arousal increases, so does performance. However, only up to this optimal point here. If arousal continues past the optimal point, performance will start to gradually decrease, as you can see here. So over arousal, which this theory now takes into consideration, results in decreased performance. Under arousal on this side also results in decreased performance. So the ideal for any athlete is to get to this optimal point here to make sure their performance is the best that it can be. And certainly compared to dry theory, this is much more accepted because of this concept of over-arousal, which is now included in this inverted U theory. So the final part of this inverted U that I want you to make notes on from this screencast is this concept of what does it actually mean for under, over and optimal arousal. How does this actually affect performance? So first off, we'll look at the under arousal. So down this side here on the graph. In this situation here, you're going to have an excessively wide attention field. So here we're talking about an athlete that might not be focusing, not paying attention to the things that they need to actually perform. And what's actually going to go on here is they actually get information overload. So here, because they're not focusing on the task, their mind is wandering, they're thinking of other things, they're focusing on the crowd, they're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner tonight, thinking about what they're going to do tomorrow. So there's lots of information. So it's information overload. They're thinking about too many things that are irrelevant and are not necessary for performance. So certainly someone who is not paying attention, not focusing, will be classed as under-aroused. So an example here might be a goalkeeper, misses a cross coming in because he's not paying attention and doesn't actually catch the ball. The flip side of that, on the right-hand side here, if we're looking at over-arousal, so now your attention actually is very, very narrow. And what happens here, you're actually over-focusing on a particular task, on a particular cue or stimulus or stimuli. So cue is something that you kind of pick up on in a game. So it could be a player position, it could be a call from a teammate. So you're over-focusing and you're going to miss very important things from teammates, position on the pitch that lets you know what you should be doing regarding your performance. So here you're also going to experience something called hypervigilance, commonly associated with nerves and panic and anxiety. So in this instance here, so the goalkeeper, example from before, this is where they might actually drop the ball because their attention is so narrow, they're panicked, they're nervous, and they're missing the basic cues of what they need to successfully catch the ball. It might be another player position within the box, for example. So ideally, athletes should be here looking at this optimal arousal. So your attention is at its optimal point. You're focusing only on the things that are relevant for you to actually perform skills effectively in your game or match. This is also called selective attention. So you're able to block out the things that are not relevant and only focus on the most important cues, the most important aspects that you need. Player position, calls from teammates, opposition's position on the pitch. So this also is called cue utilization. This is where you're using all the relevant cues for your best performance. So example of the goalkeeper, the cross comes in, he's able to catch the ball because he's looking at all the player positions, his own position, flight of the ball, and actually performs the skill effectively. So that essentially is the impact of inverted U on performance under, over, and optimal arousal. Make sure you've got that down. Make sure you've got the graph in terms of what it looks like on here. And then in the lesson, we're going to go through looking at a bit more evaluation of what the issues of this theory, and we'll look a bit more detail on how this might differ for different sports. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.